Welcome to Quick Shots, a short format traditional archery podcast, where we introduce you to some of the world's most influential traditional archers, and occasionally, some random dudes.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Quick Shots. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification. We upload a new episode every Wednesday, and they just keep getting better and better. If you or someone you know is an interesting trad archer, leave a comment below. We'd love to get you on the show. If you want to support the channel, head on over to the tradlifearchery.com. We have toques, we have hats, we have mugs, just a bunch of stuff over there. And anything you buy goes to support this channel. We do really appreciate it. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Quick Shots. I'm your host, Mick Chambers, and we're here with Joshua Miller. Hey Josh, how you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing solid, doing great. How are you?
Fantastic, man. You've been crushing the longbow scene right now, man. Unbelievable. But hey, let's not start there. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and who you are.
Okay, yeah. So I'm Josh Miller. I'm actually from Neelyville, Missouri, and if you want to get really technical about it, I'm from a place called Coon Island. There's probably 40 people in that little place, so it's really small. Blinking you miss us.
Unbelievable. So are you? Is there an archery club in Coon Island, or Or,
No, not really. But our high school did just start an archery program to get the youth more involved, and it's one of my old high school I went to. So they reached out to me, and I've been kind of donating my time every Tuesday and going and working with them, and just.
Dude, that's fantastic. That's fantastic, man. That's interesting. Hey, let's go back. So, how did you get into traditional archery?
Oh man, so. I just kind of fell into it, man, to be honest with you. So I've always been a competitor, and I've always been trying to find new ways to compete. I used to play a lot of basketball. Knees and the belly, the dad bod doesn't really allow that so much anymore. I actually used to do a lot of cage fighting too after high school, and yeah, a lot of people don't know that. I was an undefeated champ. Still got my belt somewhere around here. It's over there. Got my nose broken, lip turned inside out, and yeah, again, I still won that fight, but I was knocked out in the first round. Came back and won. But I've always just been a competitor.
That's crazy. Let's stop there for a second. I had no idea. You have such a nice and kind and easygoing demeanor. I can't imagine you getting angry at anyone enough to punch them.
No, dude, man, that's not my life. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I've never been in a fight outside the cage in my life. Been maybe a couple shuffles, but no, dude, I'm a lover.
Okay, keep going with your story about how you got into traditional archery. Keep going.
So always been a competitor, but I just wanted something that was a little less painful,
Yeah.
So I started with a compound, shot a lot of compound, did a little bit of hunting, but just wanted more of a challenge. And a good friend of mine, he would always post pictures of these stud bucks he kills with his recurve and his longbow, and I was like, I want that feeling. So I went out and bought a Samick Sage and sucked it up for about a year, and then just got really serious with it. So it just came natural, man. It was so awesome. It was like it still is. It's something that you're never going to perfect. You're always chasing that next step. So that's what I love about traditional archery, man.
Dude, I've seen you shoot. You're killing it right now. So you've had quite a bit of success lately. Go ahead and brag a little bit about that, man. Love to.
It's not really so much, but so over the past, I've only been shooting traditional archery for about 2.5, I think going on 3 years. I think this might be my third year shooting traditional archery.
Wow.
Yeah, so my second year, I actually won ASA state for Arkansas and Missouri, and then the following year, what else did I win that year? Anyways, the following year I won Missouri, Illinois, Arkansas for ASA state, and shot against some really solid dudes. I shot with in Illinois with like Jeff Ogilvy, Michael Davenport, Jeffrey Morgan, just solid dudes.
Awesome guys, yeah.
And then yeah. So that was probably one of my better moments. I won the ABA Longbow Championship. Got a $300 belt buckle for that one. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome. How many belt buckles do you have in total?
7, 8. So I don't know, man. I don't wear them. I don't even really show. I just get them and throw them over there and on to the next shoot. Keep shooting.
Dude, if I won one belt buckle, I would wear that all the time. They wouldn't be able to take it off me, man. That's amazing that you're just like, yeah, okay, well, whatever. It's only been 3 years, and it's all 3 years have been. Well, you started off, you said Samex age, right? But
Right.
then you
So
quickly moved into longbow.
this is 3.5. It's so about 3.5. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, 3.5. For us guys that have been doing like 25 years, that can't shoot anywhere as good as you. That just sounds like a low key brag. I think when you say 3.5 years.
I've just been lucky, man. Just been getting really lucky.
Oh yeah, I think it's that old saying: the harder I work, the luckier I get. Right?
True.
You just do. Hey, so you're shooting longbow now. You're shooting all longbow now. All right, and you're shooting that hill style longbow.
I am. Yeah, shooting ASL. I've been shooting a lot of different style longbows, but currently at the moment, yes, I am shooting a lot of hill style ASL, American semi longbow.
Okay.
Pretty much all that is just it's the American version of the English longbow. Gentleman, of course, by the name of Howard Hill, took the design and really Americanized it. So it's a kind of like it's just a smaller version of an English longbow with a kicked out back. Just thick, long, narrow limbs with
Yeah.
flat
What
back.
you got one there? Sure.
I do.
If
I do.
you got your bows there, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, so so this is actually my hill style bow that I'll be shooting. And I'm actually going to be shooting this specific one at TAS Worlds, TAS Worlds
Yeah.
this weekend actually. So you can see that the grip it's pretty flat.
Wow. If that's not, I feel like I can make that in my bathtub at home, with some hot water and just laminating a couple of things. That does not look like a lot of bow.
No, and it's really not. It's so simple. And I think that's what really really intrigues me about it is it's so simple, but man, they're a little tough to shoot. It's been a journey getting that thing to shoot the way that I wanted it, and I'm still learning. I mean, you never stop learning, and that this bow has really been one of my tougher battles, but my most rewarding battle.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I early on in my career, well, not early on, every so often I'll pick up a longbow, a D-shaped bow, and I'll try and shoot it, but man, it's uncomfortable. I hate it. Like I just don't like. I don't know. How do you get used to shooting a bow like that, or am I just having a bad experience?
No, you're just having a bad experience, and that's what a lot of people don't understand about the hill style bow. Somebody that's used to shooting longbows or recurves their entire life, or for however long, they pick up a hill style bow, they grip it, they death grip it, and of course they shoot it, and they're putting that hill pressure up high above the center of gravity and where it's tillered off, and yeah, whenever you shoot it, you're picking up your teeth and your arms sitting there doing this, and you're like, that wasn't any fun, that sucked.
That sucks. That's exactly that. No, that's exactly. I'm telling you, that's exactly my experience. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get that you're really in tune with the very, very traditional style of archery, but at the same time, man, you pick up a recurve and it's just like I don't feel anything, but you're like you said, your teeth are rattling out of your head. Now I made a huge mistake, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I was shooting like carbon arrows out of it. They were too light. But I find, if you shoot wood arrows, it absorbs some of that shock.
Absorbs a ton of it. And there's actually something there, what you were saying with the recurve. Most of your recurves, they're over there, but they're more medium wrist, and they're certain ways. So your thumb placement, your grip, your throat webbing, everything is pretty much repeatable every single time.
Yeah.
How do you repeat this?
Yeah, there's no index. There's no indexing on that at all.
It takes a long time, and repeatability to where you're able to shoot it as comfortable as you can in your recurve. But once you figure out your tiller, your brace height, the arrows it likes, and keeping that hill pressure, little trick that I do. Let me take the string off. TTT strings, by the way, giving them a shout out. Those dudes are solid, man.
I'm shooting TTT as well, triple T's. I got triple T's.
Yeah, they're
good
on every single bow I own that can handle it. So as I'm gripping this, I really like to heel into that bow, but a lot of mistakes that people will make is they will, grip it straight on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do that with a Hillbow. I mean, you can, but you're gonna feel it. That's where you get all your vibrations and stuff.
Yeah.
So it really likes to, this bow specifically for me, is my center of gravity. It's all, or my center punch or whatever. It's almost right in the middle. So my heel pressure actually likes to be just a little bit lower, where I keep that nice, the meaty part of the palm, and it
Yeah.
just sits in it, and I really heel into it. So
Wow.
you really shoot it almost like a broken wrist.
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
it needs a low wrist. I mean,
yeah.
but that's how you ensure everything is
It's
in
really
line.
cute the way you got your finger out like you're drinking tea, your
That's right,
pinky
man.
finger.
Thank you. Thank you. You know this, man. So
Dude, okay,
that's
so
really
for those guys, sorry to interrupt. So for the guys that are listening on the podcast, he's pushing into the meaty part. Josh is pushing in the meaty part of the thumb, and he's
yeah,
still got his fingers at a 45-degree angle. So
absolutely.
and
And
very
I usually tuck these fingers, but I also keep my two fingers in line with that meaty palm part. So if you're
cool.
looking at it, it's all pretty much in line. I mean, the pressure is the same. I'm not death gripping it because you don't want to, but for my little trick, and it works well for me, is just putting a little bit of pressure on it so that bow isn't jumping out. I mean, it's going to jump forward, and that lets you know you're pretty good in line. But that really, without, it just keeps the bow from tipping and going back and forth and putting your limbs out of tiller, because a good percentage of the time that absorbing and that power and all that shaking you're feeling, it's because you're affecting the tiller of the bow.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, there's lots of people who shoot those bows and they love them, and even if it does rattle them, they don't mind it so much. And like you said, there are other things, putting on. I put a quiver on one of my longbows, and that helps too. Adds a little bit of weight to it and stuff. And then having a good string, right? Triple T's got great strings. Got a good Flemish string on there that has some, it seems to absorb a little bit of the shock. And so before we get much further into that, I want to go through your shot process, but tell us what equipment you're currently using to compete with.
Okay.
Can you run us through the entire, like what the bow is, what the weight is, arrows, the whole thing?
Sure. So I actually shoot 3 different style longbows. I shoot a mild reflex deflex, I shoot a reflex deflex, and then of course I shoot the American stick, which is the hill style that you just seen.
Yeah.
So like I had mentioned, I've been shooting this one pretty religiously here lately. This is my American stick from St. Patrick Lake Longbows. It's a solid, beautiful bow, just absolutely beautiful. But I'm going to be shooting this at TAS Worlds. This one right now is 43 at 29.
Okay.
And it's just a great competition bow for me, because I like to hold my shot for just a little bit longer and get that nice settle feeling before I break. So that's actually the bow. It handles me well. I handle it well. Pretty good match. And I'm a weird duck, man. I shoot a really heavy arrow. I do. I shoot 64. So my competition arrows are 64 to 1 pound difference, give or take. So 63 to 65-pound shafts.
Wow.
And shoot them full length, 32 inches with 160 grains up front. So for 3D, people kind of, they kind of bat an eye at it, like, man, you're shooting that heavy. Absolutely. I'm a hunter too. I don't like chasing arrows. I don't like chasing gaps. Get that one gap figured out, man, you're solid for the year. Pick it up. If you want to, put a 160 broadhead on it, take it out, you're solid.
And you're going through every animal you ever shoot at with that. And so I guess you don't have to change your hunting setup to your target setup.
Nope, nothing changes, man. Same string, same everything.
You just throw a broadhead on there and then away you go.
One of my arrows I'm shooting, I got a pass through on a deer with, so it might still have some blood on it whenever I get the
So those are the targets that someone else is scoring. You're scoring and you let everyone pull your targets, pull your arrows when it's like all bloody.
Sure.
All right, you're pulling arrows this time. That's hilarious, man. Okay, so whose arrows are you shooting?
So I shoot Three Rivers and Archery Pass. I have different arrows for different setups. Three Rivers, man, they've been so solid for me. They've been great.
Yeah, they're great.
Actually, I got a couple goats hanging on the wall here to the left. I don't think you guys can see them, but I've got some arrows from Three Rivers that have just been so solid, and they got complete pass throughs. So I've just been shooting really well with that. So with my longbows, they're very, very, very particular on what type of wood they like, and I mean, it's just like any bow, you got to find what works. So been shooting Archery Pass as well. They he weight matches my Port Orford Sears for me too. So
So
Riley
important.
is a solid dude. Solid dude.
So who's that again? Give it that guy.
Riley Savage from Archery Past. He's out of Hillsboro, Oregon.
Okay, cool. And he
Yeah,
matches all your.
super dude, super dude. He's just a super swell dude.
I've seen you, like I saw, you know what was really impressive? The fact that you keep winning tournaments. But and that's super stressful. I mean, I can't do it. I don't know how you competitors can do it, but you know, you must get into a mindset and then boom, you're on your game. Okay, I can't do that. But other than that, I mean, you know, I was watching you do this walk back shooting. You know, I think you started at like 10 yards, then 15, then 20, then 25. And then when you walk up to the target, it's like all your arrows are in this little hole and they're all, and then what's so impressive about it is like, okay, well, that's a longbow. That's at different distances and they're wood arrows. I just, you know, I can't do that with modern equipment. I just think it's amazing. I think that's incredible. So take me through your shot process. Like, teach me something. Like I would love to learn how to shoot longbow, man. Like I'd love to be as good as you. I'd like to be a 10th as good as you. You're this much. Okay, so you're like a 3-inch group. I want to be a 10-inch group and I can't do that.
Hey man, I've just been getting lucky, man. Everybody gets lucky. You know what I mean?
No,
So
yeah.
my luck's just been a little bit longer than somebody else. But those really aren't that different from recurves. Like I said, you just got to get that repeatability. So my shot process, obviously, for 3D, I'm assuming is where most of your stuff's going to be. That's where most of your people want to learn is through 3D. So I'll just break down my 3D shot process.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm walking up to the stake. You first address your target, first and foremost. You have to, my thing is I need to know the size of that target. There's like 3 different size deers, there's 2 different size dogs, you know, and cats are different. There's so much about it. But I am a gap shooter, so I like to know what the distance is from that center core to armpit or to belly, depending on the target. So let's just say I'd walk up to my target. Okay, I see that's a grazing deer. I know for a fact that the center core from that deer to its armpit is just under 6 inches. Okay, so now I know my target. Second thing is obviously yardage. You got to know your yardage if you're a gap shooter.
Yeah.
So I know that it's a medium-sized deer. It's not the smallest. It's not the biggest. So okay, I know it's medium-sized. Now, what is my depth perception on that? Okay, is it medium, far, or long? Okay, it's probably a medium shot. Okay, now I'm looking at my ground. Now I'm finding my 10-yard mark, and then so forth and so forth. I find a blade of grass that's 10, and then I kind of usually go off the rest of it. Okay, that's 18 yards. Okay, so now I've matched my depth perception to my actual yardage that I've been looking. So that's like 2 checkpoints right there. So now I know I need to find out my 18-yard gap, which is 8 inches under. So what I'm doing is as I preload, I know now where to put my arrow tip. So now I like how John Dimmer does it, man. He locks that forearm, man, before he does anything else. It's really solid. I do it half the time. I really need to get to where I can do it all the time because when it works, it's solid. And you want a solid bow arm. Mm-hmm. So preload, put a little pressure on my string. I'll bring it up, address it, fully come back to anchor, set my anchor. You have got to have a solid anchor before you can go anywhere else. So it's kind of like a checklist that you just kind of go through.
So let's pause on anchor. Let's pause on anchor for a second. Tell us what your anchor point is.
Okay, so I just had a big discussion with Cody about this. You know, I say, whenever you hear people say, oh, I'm getting the anchor, you know, well, what's your anchor? How's the anchor? And what do people usually do? They say middle finger to mouth or index finger, and that's cool and all, but how do you really know you're at a solid anchor? You have 2 or 3 different, points. So obviously, as I'm pre-drawn, I'll kind of feel a little bit of tension in my back muscle, and I'll finish rotating it as I'm putting my middle finger to my index, and I kind of shove this meaty palm almost in the back. It's really weird, but it works.
That is weird, dude. That's weird.
So it works for me.
But you keep your thumb up. You keep your thumb up.
I keep it tucked most of the time. So I'll either come under, but I've been kind of doing this.
I don't know. I look like an idiot doing it. But
yeah,
okay.
Okay, so you guys haven't seen the video of me really doing that yet. So yeah, let's go back to the videos you see me doing. I will keep it tucked under.
Yeah.
Okay. But then my third point is really getting that back kind of twisted and getting it in line.
Yeah.
So then I know I'm at a solid anchor because I can feel that pressure. Okay, so now I'm at a solid anchor. And then of course the next thing is I have a really long shot cycle. I can hold an arrow for 5-10 seconds, you know.
Yeah.
It's different every single time because I take my time really getting the point of my arrow to where it needs to go. So I don't rush it. I kind of lay into it a little bit. And then whenever I get there, I then start my expansion, bringing that lower trapezius
Yeah.
muscle, you know, getting it to where it's going to break. And then it just, you do that. After I get my tip of my arrow to where I want it, kind of wait 1, 2, pull, and then let it break. So I am really guilty about letting my bow arm drop or plucking or trying to hurry up and see because it's a competition. You know, you want to make sure that that
Yeah.
arrow
Yeah.
hits.
Yeah.
So what I've been really focusing on now is holding that bow arm. I mean, this thing needs to be a statue whenever you let go. Like as soon as you break, hold that dude solid and have a nice clean break, almost like it's going limp. So if you see me and watch me, it'll just kind of like tuck down. You know, it may kind of fluck out a little bit, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
going limp. And but every single time it's touching where it needs to go. And then of course I just wait a couple seconds and then look and see where I hit.
Yeah, it's usually 10 or 12. Um, so no, well, last week you said you shot a 198 or something like that. Was it, what
Yeah,
was it last week?
yeah, that was this past weekend, man. That was probably the best I've shot that Hillbow. And man, it was just like everything was falling perfect. It was everything just felt natural, and it's like you're just going through the motions, you know, you're flowing and you don't have a care in the world, and it's just everything was just coming out great. So we got to the final shot, the final 2 shots, and I just got lazy and I just let go, and the string caught my bow arm, my arm guard,
Yeah.
and it took so much like so much you know, motion off of my,
Momentum. Yeah.
yeah,
Momentum. Yeah. From the
there you
arrow.
go. It just took it off, and it just went perfect line, and then it just dropped and barely caught the 8 line, and I was like, oh man, because I knew I seen the last target, and it was a gobbler, and he's looking right at you, and he's got a little bitty spot right here that you hit.
Yeah.
The 10 is like less than the size of my fist, so it's like the 10 is like 2.5 inches, and then
Yeah.
the 12 is like a pencil tip, you know. So I was like, all right, I'm really gonna hit this 12, and I'm gonna shoot even. I've only done that once in my life, and I was like, this is my time, you know. I shot it, and I was like a 1/4 inch from the 12, and
Oh,
it was defeat. But then I'm like, hell, I just shot great, man. Quit being a sis. You like take it.
that's so true, dude. I mean, I would give anything to be like in that. That's great. But I mean, that's just me. I think that that's great though. I love your mentality and listening to the way you think about things. Some things are starting to click for me with you. Cage fighter doesn't feel pressure when he's shooting, just enjoys it. Like anything, if I'm competing and what I compare my competition to is archery or cage fighting, like I know stress and cage fighting. Like
Oh
I'm
my
gonna get
gosh.
punched in the face. The worst I'm gonna get is get a little bit of nick on my nose in archery.
Yeah,
Shit, dude, that's
I
good.
got to prove the archery, and I also got a couple scars, a couple scars for the other one, and I think I'd rather stick with archery, man. Guys out there that say they want to kill you on the course, but you guys can have a beer afterwards, and not so much in cage fighting.
You guys are so nice. I mean, especially the Longbow community, and like, I mean, I know for a fact the Longbow community is really nice. They all seem to help out each other and get on each other's. I mean, there's the you get that sort of going back and forth. Hey man, hey, are you shooting like a 25-pound bow there because you can't get to the target, and there's lots of chirping out there on the course, but in the end you'd all sit around and help each other. You go overboard on helping each other. You just got a great community, so I would.
That's great. I mean, we really do. We got some of the greatest ambassadors in the longbow division. And that's what I love so much about the traditional community. You might have a couple people here and there, but 90% of us are willing to help each other and willing to learn. And we're not scared to reach out. But if you look back at any Facebook page that really has to deal with traditional archery, like traditional bow hunters or the single string group, archery competition. Like if you go and you look at that and you find the first question or two that anything that's regarding a longbow, I guarantee you're going to see one or two of the top shooters in our nation responding to those
Unbelievable.
questions. We're just we really have a solid crew, man, and it's awesome. It's good to see that. Yeah, we want to beat each other on the course. We want to, just really do the best that we can, but you really want to help people too, to help grow your game as well. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, most of the traditional community is like that. So, it's been really good. I mean, it's been a good experience for me. I've gotten a chance to, talk to great guys like you. I've got a chance to talk to, average guys like Cody Greenwood. I've got a chance. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you're gonna cut that boy.
He's not too far away that he can't come down here. So, and I'm trying to get Santos on the show, and he just doesn't respond back to any of my emails. So I don't know what's going on with that guy.
You get on the show, man. I'll hit him up for you.
Well, I need an inside. I mean, he wins one tournament. He wins one tournament. He's too good for me after that. It's you say these guys are nice guys in the longbow community, but really. I
tell you what, Santos actually hooking me up, coming to Worlds. I'm kind of running low on some stuff, and he's gonna give me his secret stuff. So I'm pretty excited. Gotta stay on his good side.
I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I'm hoping it's archery equipment. But
yeah, she probably worded that a little better, huh?
Anyway, it's really good, man. So are you? I mean, obviously you're a hunter. How long have you been hunting for?
Yeah. So here's the thing, man. I just got started hunting not too awful long ago, a couple years back. Had a really bad experience growing up, had somebody take me out, and I was just a young kid, never fired a rifle in my life. And it was a horrible experience. It kind of just set me off on the side of the road, wait here, shoot there, like deer will come out there. Like I'm trying to cross this creek, I fall in this creek and I'm freezing to the bone. It was so horrible. So for the rest of that deer season, I just sat in my grandma's camper playing Scrabble. I was really young when that happened.
That sounds terrible, dude. That sounds.
It was horrible. So finally, a few years ago, one of my good buddies was like, "Hey, I'm gonna bring you out deer hunting." I'm like, "Yeah, let's try it out." So he brought me out rifle hunting, got a doe, and I was just like, "Oh man, that was awesome." And then you got to eat it, and it was like, just freaking boss. So then I start just going wild and swinging wild, and I'm killing everything that I can get my hands on, really, that has a season. And then I switched to compound, and then it was just like it was like more of a challenge to get in with traditional archery too. So since then, I've killed a couple hogs, a couple goats, deer, and man, probably next year I'll be hunting with an ladle and a loincloth. Everything that archery has, or anything primitive. It's cool. I like the challenge.
I wouldn't put it past you, man. I can see you digging a hole, putting leaves on top of yourself, and jumping out with a spear and killing something.
Now, who the hell?
Dude, so do you hunt with your longbow?
I do. So I've killed quite a bit of stuff with my longbow. Actually, the first longbow, it's on the wall over there. I actually got a clean pass through at probably about a little over 20 yards. It was right around that mark, but it felt like it was super far because I was so high up in the tree. So yeah, I do that. And last year, man, it's such a heartbreaking story. I shot the biggest buck of my life, and I got some really big ones over here.
Yeah.
Out of the camera, but the biggest one, I'm shaking as he's coming up. And believe it or not, I shot it with a hill style bow. This exact same make, model, the whole 9 yards, in 55 pounds, 58 pounds, and shot him at a really steep angle. And it was a pass through, and I was just so pumped. I was like, yeah, man. And I crawled down after a few minutes, saw nothing but blood everywhere. So I go and I call my buddy, and I'm like, hey man, gonna come help me track this deer? But I didn't need any help. I knew where he was.
Yeah.
And then we start tracking, and we made it probably 20, 30 yards, and big old pile of blood. And I'm like, yeah, I got that long. And then another 10 yards, it started to faint, just little pin drops.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, man. And this was like a freak mine.
Oh,
It was a beautiful deer for me here in Missouri. Yeah, man. It was hard to swallow. So we get up to him and we finally see him, and then he jumps up and he takes off. I'm like, oh my gosh, we get out of there, you
yeah.
know. And then of course we had the worst freaking rainstorm and washed everything away. So the only memory I got him is from my trail cams, and the arrow. I still got an arrow back here, both parts of it. And yeah, it's a heartbreaking story, but
You're preaching to the choir, man. Same thing happened to me. I had my daughter in the stand with me, and it was early light, and thought I put a good shot on this buck. I have no bucks, by the way. It's all been doe for me. I don't know why. They just don't like me, or they can smell me. I don't know. But anyway, so it was early season, shot this thing, waited a while, got down out of the tree stand, went over, and we actually saw this massive pool of blood, right? And I must have got down too early or something like that. And it jumped, and I didn't see it jump, but then it's just started trickling off, and we couldn't find anything. It's the biggest heartbreak in the world. And I think that was like 3 years ago. And I gotta tell you, probably, I think about it
oh,
like 3 times a day.
it's part of it. You're some of the most successful archers in the world. The best bow hunters, they got stories like that. It's all part of it, brother. And I think that's it's a great circle of life, anyways. It was I have on every single bow, I have a scripture written on my bow, and I tell you, because of that deer, I missed so many deer with my bow the first time. And I had this one deer that came out, and he was a good eight every single year. And I missed him my first year, and then I got my chance with the longbow, which was like the first year I'd really hunted with
Yeah.
traditional equipment. And I'd only been shooting a couple months, and I sailed it over his back, and I just started laughing, and I just thank God for the opportunity. I'm like, you know what? Thanks for the opportunity. So on my bows, most of my bows, I have First Thessalonians 5:18, and it's just give thanks and glory to God in any circumstance, for that's His will for you through Christ Jesus, which it means a lot to me. So
That's
I was
beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, yeah, that's great. And now I know why you're winning all these tournaments. You got God on your side. That is so unfair.
it
That's
helps, man.
so,
It helps.
it ain't gonna hurt. No, it ain't gonna
No,
hurt. I
no.
mean, so yeah, that's not fair. That's not fair. I never even thought to do that. So I need something.
Keep it in the outfield, baby. That's where it's at.
Well, man, dude, that's pretty fantastic. So you're shooting your hill style bow. You're going to TAS. What are your goals this year? What are your goals this year to get done?
So it's funny you say that. So my buddy Michael Davenport, I, you know, my favorite archer of all time, by the way. I love what he's done in the game. I love what he does. Now you talk about hunting, that dude's a hunter. But he showed me something about his goal. He's got a goal board. So every single year he writes these list of goals that he wants. And they're hard to reach feats, and it's like, dude, that's so inspiring. So I went out, bought a board, got a marker, and I just made, for my first year, I kind of made it a little easy, a
Yeah,
couple easy ones, a couple hard ones. So I'm not completely crushed if I don't meet them.
yeah,
But I wanted to win a state title. I wanted to shoot 270 indoor and with my wooden arrows and the longbow, and I wanted to make podium in the Arkansas IBO, which I did win. I won that one, the Bow Hunter Challenge, and also won Modern Longbow in Indiana this year. So won a couple titles. It was nice. I want to win worlds at TAS with my hill style bow. It's
yeah.
man, it's driving me nuts. That is one of my biggest goals. And then of course my biggest one, which isn't this year, man, I want to make Team USA so bad. I'm training night and day, mentally and physically, and just going out and shooting. Like at the end of every single shoot, I'm like, this is the last shot at World Archery, make it count. And
Nice.
half the time it's not really, anything to write home about, but because then you get that pressure. So I'm trying to
Well,
adapt to that pressure.
absolutely. So just hearing you, and this is why it's so important for people who are listening or watching. Like, I mean, literally, you are a champion, and you're still playing that game. We play this in Canada, right? We play this in Canada. Like, I grew up in Canada, and we're always like, okay, it's Chambers down on, down on a breakaway. It's the Stanley Cup champion overtime game, and shoot that, and you put that pressure on yourself, right? And to hear you say that you still act like a kid, even though you've been very successful and you're playing that game in your mind. I love it, dude. I love that. Love it.
You gotta stay young at heart, man. You gotta find ways to still make it entertaining and challenging. So yeah, man, except for whenever I was a kid and still yet, it's like, oh yeah, he's going for the layup, and then you miss it and you're like, man, redo, hold up.
Redo.
You don't get that. You don't get that in archery or worlds for that, so it's nice that you're still able to do that and put yourself in that scenario. And actually it helped me out. And it was so, if I got time for a little story, at IBO traditional Arkansas, it was crazy because there was me, Paul Reginaldi, I believe I said that right, and Rusty Horn.
Yeah.
We were all in the final 3 at the bow hunter challenge, and we had all scored the exact same, and we had a 1 arrow shoot off. We put a javelin at like 21 yards, and of course Rusty shoots it. He's like right on the 10, and then of course it was my turn, and it was crazy because we were shooting from gravel, and it was like one of my favorite movies of all time is The Sandlot. With the Oh, you never watched it? Oh,
No, sorry, dude. Sorry.
Oh, you gotta watch it. It's a baseball movie, so it was like really big in my time. I think 95, 96. It was an awesome movie, and it's about these kids that like playing baseball. Well, at the end of this movie, Rodriguez, he's like the main all-star of the baseball team. They knock a ball over the fence, and they got to go get it from this dog, the Beast. So he's looking at all of his challenges, and he has a vision, but he's like, he puts his feet in the dirt, and he just like kind of wiggles it back and forth, and he makes that dash, and he gets the baseball, and like goes on an epic battle with the Beast, and he ends up winning. And so it's like he's envisioned how he's going to do it, and he does it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like me. Like I envisioned that, oh, I'm on the final shot. This is a shoot off for the bow challenge or for a 1 arrow shoot off. And I do that all the time in my backyard. So then it was like the moment was there. And it was perfect because I looked down in the gravel and I just kind of made my little foot wiggle and I dropped it 21 yards right in the middle. And then Paul Reginald, he just looks over and he goes, oh. And then he shoots and he just right outside of the 11. And it was like, dude, that was my Beast. It was just so cool.
That's epic. That's epic.
Yeah. Something like a thing in the backyard kind of paid off,
Dude, that's so epic. That story's so epic. That's awesome. That's unbelievable. I love it. Okay, look at we're a little bit out of time here, but here, listen. I think you've imparted a bunch of knowledge, but give me one thing that that's going to help me out. What's going to help me out to be a better bow shooter, a better archer, I should say. Bow shooter. It's like I don't even know. I've never. Anyway, how do I be a better archer? What do you got?
You got to have repeatability. You got to have for one, it's a really big mental game. It's come so far as like from a grip and rip to understanding more processes and understanding your brain and your body and how things work. So my advice is not to give up too early. Repeatability, learning yourself, learning your equipment, shooting one bow, man. I shoot so many bows, and for like a week at a time, whenever I make a change, I'm chasing arrows. So really learning your equipment and shooting one bow. They say that, it takes a couple thousand shots for something to become normal. Yeah. And same thing whenever I switch from a glove to a Yoast tab, man, it did not feel right, but now I don't even know where I'd be without that thing. So repeatability, staying with it, not giving up, and not being hard on yourself. I'm the world's worst about that. I'll make a 5 or even, a really horrible shot. I'm like, man, you idiot. Like that was a chip shot. You make those all day, and I just get so down on myself and negative towards myself that it'll affect it, so really just still give thanks to God, be happy and just be you, man. Have some fun.
Amen. Hey, so you got a couple sponsors this year?
I do. I got.
Why don't we give a little quick shout out to all the guys that are supporting awesome archers like you? I mean, literally, we need more. We do need more people like that. There's so many good archers. I mean, you're an awesome archer. I'm glad to see that you're getting sponsored by people. Give those guys a shout out for doing such an awesome job.
First and foremost, we got Three Rivers Archery, man. I love that I'm on this team, man. They're so awesome. We got some top of the line shooters across the nation, some fun shooters, man. IBO Mid-America was probably the funnest shoot and the most humbling shoot because I did not do good my first day. But it was awesome because I was surrounded and had like support from awesome teammates.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's nice.
and then seeing what Three Rivers Archery does in the track community itself. You know, they
Absolutely.
host a bunch of stuff. They sponsor a lot. You know, they give so much back to the traditional community, and that's, man, that's, it's home. You know, it's like
Yeah, Jonathan's a good dude too, right?
he's
Solid guy.
Jonathan's an awesome dude. Jonathan Karch is great. You know, and he's pretty good shot himself from what I hear. I haven't got to shoot with him yet, but yeah, mediocre, huh? Yeah,
Anything I've ever been at, he's always been handing out checks. He never picks up a bow. So-
Of course, then we got TTT Strings. You know, that's also, man, a solid team. I love those dudes. We got Trevor Fielder, Paul Helm, Santo. We got Ben Power, Cody Greenwood, and myself and Ryan Crouch too. Man, we're all on that
Oh,
team.
right,
And
yeah.
we're in a good message, and we're constantly finding ways to push each other to the next limit. So that's awesome. Archery Pass from Oregon, Hillsbow, Oregon. That dude is, I'm telling you, he's got a mom and pop shop. The dude is a wonderful dude. He'd give you the shirt off his back. He's just super, super cool.
So
Love
awesome.
that dude. Of course, St. Patrick Lake Longbows. Love them. I love their bows. I love everything about their bows, and I love Eric, dude. The dude
Okay.
is the best family man you'll ever meet. You'll never catch him in a bad mood. Super, super swell. And he's not scared to tackle on new projects. So if you got anything in your mind, kicking around, you don't think he's going to do it, hit him up. They'll do it. Also, we got Yoast tabs. Man, what can I say? They're one of the best on the market. I've got like
They're
five.
so good. I mean, it's the de facto tab. I mean, people should just go buy a Yoast tab. Just, just get it done. And if they're backed up on one site where they're selling them, go directly to Yoast, get them there. Call up Eric, Tracy, tell them tell them Archery Geek sent you. No, I'm kidding. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They just want to anyway, they're good people. Yeah, okay, so you got Yoast. Anyone else? Jeez, what's going on for you, buddy?
Archery products. Gun-shy archery products, man. It's like the Chuck Norris of all quivers. Look how many's on that thing. It's like,
Oh my,
so much mass, bro, in the hand. It's wonderful, and it's great because it's a nice Velcro. It's multi adjustable there.
oh
Like,
cool. Hey, that is interesting. Yeah.
it can fit any single bow, and that dude does not move. I love his quivers. I've got one in every color, every size. I've got probably 4 or 5 of them. I love them. And then of course I got True Flight Feathers, man, solid dudes, and of course Genesis Law. So I think I'm gonna have some more, but man, it's without
You,
looking at my.
you deserve as many people sponsoring you as possible. I mean, honestly, the way you've been shooting and you've just been so successful, and I'm glad to have you on the show, dude. Your energy is fan-freaking-tastic. I mean, honestly, I can't. Okay, last thing. When you think of longbows, the first thing I think of is guys over 65 years old and just are curmudgeons, and they're like grumpy old dudes, and they're like, yeah, I've been shooting this way, I'm traditional. And then to see you come on here, I'm like, who is this dude, man?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, man, and they're so stuck in the ways. And you know what? We need to take as much knowledge from those dudes as we can right now, because 5-10 years down the road, man, where it all began,
Yeah,
we
sure.
got to bring that history back, man. I love it. Some of the best shooters I've ever met are these old dudes with cigarettes hanging out of their mouth and a cowboy hat with like 500 tears and oil on their shirt from the carburetor they just fixed 2 days ago.
True.
And they're studs, man. I love these dudes. So we really need to show appreciation and give credit where credit's due to those dudes.
I love the fact how humble you are, and the fact that you look towards, you look towards God, you look towards, your elders, and you just got a lot of respect there, man. I love it. I really do appreciate it. And your energy is fantastic. Man, it's been a pleasure talking to you, honestly.
Sure. I appreciate you, man. And I just want to give one last shout out to my aunt, man. She's been like the best support. And Laura, I love you. My final sponsor, Backwater Taxidermy, local
That's
taxidermy.
awesome.
I love them. And I wouldn't be where I am without her. So I really, really want to give her a good shout out. So, man, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for all you do in the track community, too.
Dude, I just love meeting guys like you, man. This is fantastic. And thank you very much for being on the show again. How do people get hold of you? Like, where can they find you on the social media?
Sure. So Facebook, Joshua Miller. You can search me on there. 90% of the time, I'm going to have a picture with either me and my bow or me and my kids, my wife, going to have the same smile. I'm always chipper. Instagram, Miller Archery 33, I do believe. I'll send it to you, put it in the link or whatever. I'm still getting that figured out. Like I said, I'm from a small town. we probably just got internet not too long ago, so I'm trying to figure it out, And that's pretty much. And then I got YouTube channel I'm trying to start up called Stickman Archery.
I'm sure it's gonna be
STY.
great. Stickman Archery on YouTube. So I'm sure it's gonna be great too. Anytime that you want to post pictures or videos of you shooting, man, put them up there. I'd love to see them because the more you know, right?
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Thank you very much for being on the show. Thanks everyone for sticking around. We appreciate everyone. Till next time, take it easy.